Good morning. Good morning, good people. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Friday, March 27th. This month is over and the final decision has been made. We will be taking I wouldn't say it's really taking a break. We will be using the month of April to revamp the morning podcast. We will be back starting in May with a whole new format. This is hard pruning. We'll talk more about that in the theme of email, but this is day 5 of week 1 in our neuroscience-oriented approach to success. Day 5 of week 1. We're going to finish out week 1, and then we're going to go through Sunday, and then Monday we will only be doing a, hey, good morning, this many days until we start the new series, What Did Jesus Actually Say series. So get ready for that. But here we are now, day 5, week 1. This is our overview and orientation into the neuroscience-oriented approach to success, as opposed to a psychology, neurolinguistic programming, cognitive behavior therapy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is what that is. Where am I? Looks like it's askew. Who wants to have an askew on their shoulders? Okay, let's get started. Our themo-memo of today is hard pruning. This is from Darren Hardy, Hard Pruning, the Pursuit of Happiness. And our TED Talk for today, Viktor Frankl. It's about Viktor Frankl and the idea of the pursuit of happiness. Got a little something in my throat. I'm drinking very expensive Chinese green tea. Maybe it's black tea. Not sure. Anyway, yeah, I think it's black tea. Okay, so our themo-memo, hard pruning, the pursuit of happiness. Advice from an 80-year-old, keep it simple. Right, why do we say that? Why do we say keep it simple? Why do we say keep it simple? Occam's razor, the law of parsimony. The law of parsimony, keep it simple. Occam's razor, keep it simple. Why? You can get more done. That's the basic reason. If you keep things simple, you can get more done. But sometimes simple is not enough. Things get complicated and you have to build on them. It's like this plus volume 2 plus volume 3 is over 300,000 words of constantly adding, pruning, shaping, etc. Can't do that overnight. Okay, better. Something was rattling over there. Okay, Seth Godin. What does Seth have to say? Today is a short one. What's in the status bottle? It's often mislabeled. Sometimes the contents can make us ill, especially if we drink too much status. Status is easy to sell, but despite how often people buy the promise, it rarely delivers. If you do this, you'll have more status, but then it rarely delivers. Is the message here. Okay. Boom, bing. Okay, keep it simple. Can't be more simple than 4 lines. 4 lines. For sale. Baby shoes, never worn. That's a story in itself. Okay, let's go back here. Let us talk about hard pruning. Darren Hardy this week is talking about sort of spring cleaning, bringing, what did we do in the spring? All of the stuff from the winter. We now have spring cleaning. Open it up, get rid of the stuff, freshen it up, air it out. Spring is the time of growth. So he's talking about your business, hard pruning. What is hard pruning? Well, according to Darren Hardy, hard pruning is when you radically prune your shrubs, plants, trees, whatever. You cut them back to what, if you don't know what you're doing, it looks like you ruined them. But what happens is it rejuvenates the plant. It rejuvenates the plant. So if I think about it, it would be like you have this big shrub, and in the spring, when it's going to start growing, water and nutrients have to go all the way through the shrub out to the outside to add new stuff. Not really efficient because they have to have the whole thing grow. Versus, and of course there's a root system to support all that, versus you have this really heavy duty root system and you don't have you have very little stuff for it to nutriate. I like that term, nutriate. So when you do hard pruning and the spring comes, there's a tremendous amount of energy that can help the shrub rejuvenate. That's how it seems to me, why it's such a good idea. But according to Darren Hardy, if you don't know what's going on, it looks like the plant was killed. Well, that's what we're going to do with the podcast over the next 4 weeks. We are going to be doing hard pruning, cutting it back to the essentials. This is very good for people over the last 14 years who've taken the course. However, we're going after a new breed of cat. So this, if we're not in the prisons giving this out, the population is dwindling. And even though our people might come back for a refresher course once every year, twice a year, whatever, once a month, whatever the students from the past do, new people aren't going to be really interested in jumping into that because they don't know what it is. This is going to be the new push, not the proof copy. That's going to be the new push. And that is really the ultimate aim. This is the day-to-day, boots on the ground, how to make this life more important, more productive. But if you don't know where you're going, being more productive doesn't really help you get there. You've got to have that North Star. Where are we heading? Why are we heading there? So that's what we're going to be doing. Now, let's see, what else do we got on our hit parade for today? We can talk about Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. Do we want to do that? Talk a little bit about who Viktor Frankl was. People can watch it on their own. Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor, really sharp guy, Jewish. I don't know if he was a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I don't know that they even had psychologists back then. Highly trained in medicine. This really understood Freud And he's recognized by many as the third school, Freud, Jung, Frankl. Logotherapy, based upon the idea of addressing the question of life and its meaning. And under logotherapy, the idea of what is the meaning of life is backwards. In other words, we don't ask life, what is the meaning of life? We don't ask, what is the meaning of life? Life asks us, what is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of your life? And we have to answer the question. We don't ask the question. We have to answer the question. We have to give life meaning. And so he wrote a famous book called The Pursuit of Meaning. Pursuit of Meaning? Man's let's see, let me just do a clean hands. Boom, 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 Viktor Frankl. Man's search for meaning. Right, there we go. Man's search for meaning. That's what life is about, a search for meaning in life. And he answers the question, man's search for meaning. One of the things about happiness is that happiness cannot be pursued. You can't find happiness. You can't say, oh, if I get this, I will be happy. If I get that, I will be happy. We might temporarily be happy, but it might be because we accomplished what we set out to do. But hedonic adaptation fits in. In other words, we get used to the happiness and the marginal amount of happiness keeps diminishing to the point where, well, we need another tattoo now because I really felt good when I got that tattoo, but that feeling of goodness is worn off, so I need another tattoo, etc. Or whatever it is. Money, this can tie into David Foster Wallace. You never have enough of what you worship. If you worship money, you'll never have enough. Knowledge, never have enough. Status, never enough. Looks, never have enough. So Viktor Frankl talks about man's search for meaning. And that is what drives people, our search for meaning. Today's video is about pursuing happiness. And again, the idea is happiness cannot be pursued. You can't find it. It's not hidden in your house somewhere like a certificate, and you have to look for it, and then you find it, and okay, now I'm happy. No, happiness must be cultivated. Cultivated. You sow, you nurture, maintain it, protect it, etc., and you can reap it. Once it grows, you can reap what you sowed. Man's search for happiness. Man's search for meaning. Very good book. The book is mainly about Viktor Frankl. Well, there's, I think, two parts. The last part is logotherapy. Before that is life in a prison camp. So Viktor Frankl, bright guy, World War II comes along. He has the opportunity to escape Germany, but he can't take his wife or parents. So he goes along with. The irony is that he's the only one that survived. His parents and wife did not survive the Holocaust. So in one sense, you could say it didn't really matter of him staying with them. It didn't really matter. And we don't really know whether they would have felt better saying, okay, we're going to die, but at least our son is going to live. At least my husband is going to live. Versus that rat, he left us here, he escaped, so they didn't go away bitter, but he survived. While he was at the camp, and he was in hard places, while he was there, being a scientist, a psychotherapist, understanding the thing. He did the Nancy Kane thing, life is my classroom. He observed what was going on, and he noticed some people died and some people didn't die. Everybody noticed it, but they probably didn't give it much thought. It'd be like, you go to a concentration camp. It's not really a question of, are you going to die? It's probably more of a question of how and when, because there's no expectation of being released, right? Okay, unless the captors are defeated, which is the case for him. So he notices some people die. Viktor Frankl notices some people die and some people don't die. And he looks at the people that die, and they die from the usual things: sickness, malnutrition, being beaten to death, going to the showers, being killed. And that explained a lot. And he noticed some people died because they kind of gave up. They lost the will to live. And he talks about a case of a guy who had a dream that said, you will be released on this date. The date came, and he wasn't. He was like, okay, we're going to be released on this date. And the day came, he didn't. Nothing changed, and then he died thereafter. So in effect, he was released. Or he got out of prison, the prison camp. Okay, so then Viktor Frankl, a more interesting case is the people who didn't die in the concentration camp. And he started noticing something. And what he noticed is the people who didn't die projected, imagined life after prison camp when we get out of here. And he goes on for a number of pages of the experience he had of imagining giving a speech, wearing a tuxedo, people in fancy clothes, leather chairs, listening to him give a speech about his experience in Dachau or Auschwitz or wherever he was at the particular time. And that imagining enabled him to keep moving forward. And he mentions in the book Nietzsche's famous, he who has a why can find his how. He who has a why can find a how. Why do I want to live? Here's why I want to live. Now I'm going to find a how. But if I don't have a reason to live, what's the point? So he spent time formulating those thoughts. And one of the important thoughts he had that we'll close with is the idea of, you can take anything from me, including my life. So just imagine the Nazis say to him, what is your mental malfunction? How is it that you keep moving forward in the most positive way possible? And he says, well, you can take anything from me, even my life, except for one thing: how I choose to respond. You can't control how I respond to you. And that becomes a very important thing. So in our lives, we've got to remember, we don't control the stimulus. We don't control what's going on outside of us, but we absolutely control how we choose to respond. Here, our thing about emotions is, if you can't control your emotions, don't worry. Don't worry. If you can't control your emotions, don't worry. Somebody else will, and they'll probably take you out of the game. It is vital to do what Viktor Frankl was talking about, which is to get, I control how I respond to you. You don't control how I respond to you. So let's keep that in mind. We will be here tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. And with that, we're getting ready to say Auf Wiedersehen, hard pruning, and bonk.